Mr. Chris Broussard joining us now. This has been a head-scratcher for you, Broussard. Kyrie Irving, how he's going to fit in once he returns. What do you expect the Nets to look like tonight when you got Kyrie, KD, James Harden all on the floor all at the same time for the first time?
Jenna, I am so excited. I can't wait. I'm beside myself. I haven't been this excited to see a trio on the floor since LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, and I was at their first game in Boston. They looked horrible. They looked terrible. They scored 80 points. They lost. And it was a lot of my turn, your turn. Nick probably remembers that game. It was D. Wade's turn, LeBron's turn, Bosh's turn. They were over-deferring to one another to make it fit, and that happens a lot of times when three stars get on the floor together for the first time. So you may see some of that. I think that Steve Nash will stagger the minute, other than the start of the game, obviously, and the end of the game. I think you'll see a lot of staggered minutes for Harden and Kyrie with one of them on the floor where the other one's on the bench. When they're on the floor together, ideally, I think it should look like this. James Harden is your point guard. He's the best, as good as Kyrie is as a point guard. Harden is the best playmaker and passer on that squad. He should be the point. Kyrie should be the two. And then, obviously, KD does his thing. I don't think it'll necessarily go like that. I think there'll be a lot of overlap. I think both Kyrie and Harden will almost share the duties of bringing the ball up. And I'm interested to see how they move, those two move or work without the ball in their hands. Kyrie's obviously done it with LeBron, so he can do it, and he's a little more used to it. Harden typically in Houston, when he was off the ball, he was standing somewhere between the hash mark and half court, twiddling his thumbs. So I want to see him involved in the play when he doesn't have the ball, at the very least, spotting up for three-pointers at the very least. But I want to see what he does and Kyrie does when they don't have the basketball. Cleveland actually, though they're 6-7, is a good defensive team, second in the league right now on that end of the floor. But I think the Nets, despite the growing pains, will be able to overcome and win.
You guys are sick of me talking about, the other end of the court, the end of the court that determines champions, the end of the court. That's why the Lakers won the title last year.
That's all you get.
And, that's why. Well, it's half the game. And if you go through this century, you got a bunch of number one defenses that won the title. You have one number one offense that won the title, the 2017 Warriors, and they, by the way, were the number two defense. But let's forget that side of the ball. Let's just say, listen, it's a weird year. The NBA's changed a lot of rules. Maybe they'll institute a make-it-take-it rule, and that'll really, really help the Nets. So let's just forget the defensive side of the basketball entirely. Yeah, make it take it, they would be deadly. Totally dynamic.
That's the greatest take you've ever had on television.
Yeah, it'd be a dynamic. Broussard, I got a question for you. The best player on this team, without question, is Kevin Durant. Agreed? No doubt about it.
Agreed.
Right?
Although I think Harden's close. But I agree, it's KD.
Listen, Harden can be, but Durant for what he's accomplished and who you trust late in games, and you could argue, as of this morning, Inauguration Day 2021, that Durant's been the league MVP up to this point. There's some other people, but if you have a ballot, I have a fake one. If you put Durant first, no one would kill you about it. My concern on the offensive end is this, and I think they're going to be great offensively, but if we're going to focus on that end, Durant, because of his personality and because of his style, is the best player and the most likely to be marginalized. I don't think Harden will let himself be marginalized. Kyrie's game necessitates him having the ball and cooking. Durant, we saw him somewhat marginalized at times at Golden State, and he's not a vocal, yell-at-you type of guy. And so is that at all for you a concern that their best player is the one that is most likely early on to take the third banana roll, even though it certainly shouldn't be that way?
Now, I hear what you're saying because the other two guys are going to have the ball in their hands. We even saw it when early in the season, Kyrie was dictating everything, and KD was just catching and shooting and, obviously a couple dribble shot. But, look, he may not get the most shots, but he will be the most efficient. And I think what Brandon said was important about the person close to Harden telling him Harden wanted to play with Kyrie. That tells me Harden is willing to step back. Now, again, I think he should be the point guard. I really do. He is a tremendous point guard. He's a tremendous passer. And I think in a perfect world, Kevin Durant would be the top scorer, Kyrie would be the second leading scorer, and Harden would be third, still getting you 24, 25 points a game. It's hard to imagine three guys scoring that many points, 25 points a night. But I think Harden is willing to just be a playmaker. He's still going to get his points, but that's what has to happen. And they're smart enough, Nick, to know KD is our best player. I do think both of those guys understand the importance of KD and that he's got to be scoring close to 30 points for them to be at their best.
So here's what I think, Broussard. I'm going to throw it to you in a second. Tonight is Kyrie's night. Kyrie hasn't been back in Cleveland since his first game with the Celtics. So rather than switching off possessions, I think both Harden and Durant are like, you know what? You cook tonight. This is your Cleveland homecoming. You need to show the world that you're rested and ready to go. Also, I think Durant takes a step back for maybe the entire regular season. So I think Nick is right, where his personality is more to, willing to sacrifice. But come finals time, if they make the finals, he's the finals MVP. He's the one that will step up, where Harden might take a backseat, where Harden might feel the pressure. I feel like Durant's time is in the finals, and he knows it, and he's going to be the leader that says, all right, you know what, tonight, Kyrie, you cook. Harden, you got to get used to sort of, Brooklyn, you cook now, and he's willing to sort of bide his time until the playoffs.
Look, I like your idea about Kyrie shining tonight, those two trying to get him involved. I mean, that would be cute. That would be nice. I don't know if it happens, but that would be something nice. I don't think you can have KD step back the entire regular season and then turn it on in the playoffs. They've got to get used to playing with one another. That's why we've seen big threes that don't win it in their first season. So I think they have to play in the regular season how they're going to play in the playoffs. And so I don't see that. I think Durant's got to be Durant. Harden and Kyrie, I think, are stronger personalities than him. But he is the best player, and he's going to have to play like the best player if this thing is going to work.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.